Okay, let's go.
Hello there, sister wives, watchers, and chick chatters. We are back with
Hey.
another talk back. Same season, same scenario, different outfits. Do you low key think it was filmed on the same day they just switched their outfits? Because that's like my suspicion.
I thought about that a little bit because it sort of seemed that way. Like Cody just like kind of hopped and he's like, "We're back for hour 2." That made me feel like it was their second hour and they did change outfits. And honestly, they probably did. That would be a lot cheaper of a production.
Hey Chick Chatters, this is Anne coming to you guys from post-production. While I was editing, I realized that we totally forgot to mention that Cody is seemingly wearing the heart of the ocean around his neck. Not really sure how he got it. I think he might have jumped into the water after the old lady threw it in the ocean, and he just kind of grabbed it and kept it for himself. Not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. Also, don't mind Robin. She's a little feeling under the weather right now. But yeah, I couldn't not give you guys that little nugget, and I wouldn't forgive myself. So back to your scheduled programming.
So they start the episode with everybody getting ready to watch the talk back again. Mary's making the bed. I don't know why they started off with that. She didn't even sit in that bed to watch the talk back.
You're right, she didn't, but she had those creepy dolls in the background. Those were weird. They made me think of, if any of you guys watch Teen Mom, Amber Portwood has a shelf of them behind her on the couch that she always sat on forever in all her scenes. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe they have something in common there with their love for creepy dolls. So the first talkback was for the first episode of this past season. And this is for the last episode.
And then they show everybody kind of sitting down to get ready for it. Cody asks Robin if she's ready, and she just shakes her head. No. Like, she's not ready. She don't want to be there. Again, I feel like she was bribed to be there by TLC. They must have gave her a pay increase or something. I don't know.
Or like
but
threatened her with a fine, maybe, because it probably is part of her job to do whatever filming they ask.
They start off with a clip of Meri explaining where she's at with Cody and their relationship and kind of like the end of their relationship, how he broke the covenant already, so she shouldn't feel any type of way. And Robin is confused by this and looks at Cody and she's like, "Did you break the covenant?" It's like, girl, yeah, yes, he broke the covenant. Do you even have to ask? I'm sure he's told you a million times he doesn't want to be with her in private. If he's saying it out in public, I'm sure he said it to you in private. Yes, he broke the covenant. And then he responded by saying, no, she's the one that had an affair.
And then right after that, that's when it kind of cuts back and Meri was like, this emotional stuff happened like well before the catfishing and blah, blah, blah. And then Christine agrees with the whole thing. She says that Cody kind of pulled back from everybody. Cody says that he told Meri in Flagstaff when they moved that he would be willing to try, but that all the time that he spent with her, he hated.
Yeah, I don't think he really tried. I don't even think he really went over there. I mean, conveniently, COVID hit, and then Meri was pretty much on an island by herself, and everybody else was separated too. So I don't know when or where he could have spent time with Meri unless it was over Zoom. I highly doubt that was happening.
Whatever it was, he hated it.
Meri in this clip also talks about Cody saying that he didn't feel married to her. And the whole thing that we keep seeing over and over again about Cody not feeling like Meri is a wife to him and that if she were to marry another, he'd be fine with it. And Cody's like, she just keeps bringing this up because she loves to be a victim. I'm like, dude, you said it. Of course it's going to keep
he loves to be a victim. It's just crazy. This is going to be a theme for Christine, I think, throughout this episode, but Christine felt mad for Meri in this moment when she was watching him. She was like shaking her head, but this won't be the first time that Christine has some empathy towards Meri. I don't think that means that they're going to be friends, but obviously Christine knows really well what Meri went through. Christine felt mad for Meri, and then Meri gets a viewer question and someone asks, like, essentially, was it a bad idea to bring in a fourth sister wife 15 or 20 years after you guys have all been married? And Mary's just like, well, we didn't think it was.
She says that it wasn't a bad idea at the time, but they had been talking on and off about it for years or whatever. But, you know, maybe it was. I don't know. She's sticking by her old decision. She still thinks it was the right decision. But I'm like, girl, how can you still think it's the right decision now after everything? I mean, I guess.
She's always been known as like the loyal one, the committed one, like whichever, the one that's committed to the family. I think that that's true. I really do believe that she's committed to the family and she thought that it could work. Janelle is kind of that way too. Like she still feels like it could work if Cody wanted it to work. And I think her and Meri agree on that.
I even think Christine agrees on that it was all really Cody. Although Christine does have some resentment towards Robin. I think she feels that Robin knew that Cody was over there, so she should have just kicked him out.
So we get a scene of Christine and Janelle visiting Christine's brother in Idaho, and they have that whole thing where they talk about continuing their sister wives bond, and Cody rolls his eyes and checks his watch while they're talking about maintaining a family relationship between the two of them. It's like he can't even stand it. It's wild. But it cuts over to Meri, and Meri talks about appreciating the relationships between Christine and Janelle, and she says that it shows that people can move on from conflict because they have in the past had not so good of a relationship, Janelle and Christine, but now they are. Meri looks at it, I think, pretty neutrally, but also I think is happy that if they can move on from what they had, maybe it means that everyone at some point can move on from what's going on.
I wish they would have showed Robin, though. I mean, she's the one that wants to desperately call these women sister wives, and then she hears these girls calling each other sister wives. I'm sure that was a knife to her kidneys.
Just a knife in the kidneys over all these years.
But Janelle gives kind of some weight to those statements too. Like Janelle says that without the chaos of the family, that her and Christine have gotten along better.
Cody says that they're just banded against him as a common enemy instead of echoing what everybody else thinks. But I mean, I just think that it's more or less the opposite. Like now that he's not there, they're able to look past whatever jealousies that they might have had or whatever, and they don't have a guy that they're fighting over anymore. I mean, when you even see the clips of them all four together without Cody, they all get along fine. It's just whenever he's around, then everybody's got tension, and then everybody's got to pick sides and all this stuff. So Cody's really the problem here. I mean, that's just my opinion.
It is. Let's go. Then we get some viewer questions and comments. And one of them asked Christine, like, did all that end of the world talk scare you when you were a kid? And she said that it totally did. It affected some of her life decisions, and that her dad was really kind of like reassuring for her and let her know that, like, oh, that's just stuff. And she has that funny voice for her dad. Like, oh, Christine.
And Meri was loving it. She was like, that's my favorite thing she does is her impression of her dad. And I'm like, I'd like to meet Christine's dad. I bet he's pretty interesting if Christine's so animated. I'm sure she got it from somewhere.
And it's interesting to me that a family that is really that religious, because it seems like Christine really came from like a very religious and also like sheltered, kind of insulated in her religion sort of life, that like the father could just be like, oh, Christine, you got to go to school. That stuff's not true. Like, how do you got them all insulated in this stuff? And you're like, stuff's not true, Christine. Then we get Jeff, who's the real MVP. Like, I died. Thank God for Jeff. So Jeff asked why Cody and Robin don't just own it and be happy. And Cody, like, just about loses his banana.
He started off all types of defensive and aggressive.
Something about you've been reading too many tabloids and you're the victim of only 20 hours of our lives and blah, blah, blah. And like Robin almost digs his eyeballs out. Like she's like goes for his whole face.
Stop it.
She was. And she's like, he's being nice. Of course, I can't tell.
I was dying. I was rolling on the floor.
Well, I'm not laughing.
Neither was Robin. Robin was trying her damnedest to get Cody to stop talking in general. Like she can't do these interviews. These couch interviews are draining her and aging her like a president.
They are.
Yeah, and even when Robin was trying to tell him over and over again that the commenter was being nice, he just wasn't buying it. Cody wasn't having it.
He said, I've been through 3 divorces in 3 years. I'm not a happy camper. Come on, Cody. He was just telling you to be happy with what you got.
It's
like,
what he wanted, according to him. In like now, especially in these rewatches and the tell-all and everything, all of a sudden this is all he's ever wanted. So yeah, why don't you just own it and be happy about it? Why are we still miserable here?
Don't hate on Jeff.
And you can tell he's miserable because Robin's miserable. I swear. Like Robin is starting to get to a point where probably she wants to leave, but she probably can't leave.
I think she does want to leave.
I don't know. Robin seems like a prisoner herself these days. She does not look well, and she is not happy.
I'm interested to see how things look between them during the Christine wedding specials. I know we obviously probably won't get a lot of them, but Just want to see what kind of front they're putting on, maybe couple months after filming from this season.
Well, this new preview we got for it, we got a little bit more of that clip where she's telling Cody, like, "Oh, we're happy for them." And it was because
I
Cody was
saw.
about to start popping off, and she's like,
Yep.
"No, we're happy for
We're
them."
happy. Yeah. She was like convincing him, which is familiar to what we've been seeing in these talkbacks with them together too. Do you want to be an engaged parent? She's just wild.
She's
Wild, wild.
digging for the answers she wants, but she's digging in the wrong Cody holes because Cody's not gonna give that to her. He's never gonna give that to her.
So then
So
we get to the property, or the beginning of the end, as I like to call it, the final conversation at the property. It starts with Cody just being like, "Oh, you want to talk about the lots?" And they're like, "No, you skipped a conversation." So then they go over the lot stuff. We talked at length about these lots. I think we put up a diagram. So I think we'll not go too much into the actual scene. There is some questions from the viewers about it. I think Christine just ends up saying, like, why don't they just get a surveyor and, we can all separate it equally? And
mhm.
I think that was what they were trying to do. I thought that they had to have it paid off before they could have a surveyor. I don't know.
They don't even wanna do that because Cody wants that extra lot. It literally makes no sense to me. So, as they're talking about this lot thing,
Oh, like
Cody
after Christine for
yeah, they're
Meri.
talking about
Right.
after. Yeah.
Right.
And now Cody doesn't wanna split up those 5 lots. Like, it makes literally no sense. So Cody and the family lot is also the same lot, right? And Cody now wants his own separate lot. Doesn't wanna give Meri these extra 2 acres because he says that the kids only all have access to him. But
Mhm.
it doesn't really make any sense. Why doesn't Cody just keep the family lot and that be his lot? It's
Right.
like his
For the
whole
kids
goal
to have
because
access to the recreation lot.
and he gaslights Robin because Robin's even like, I do kind of think that everybody should have their own equal share because all of the wives paid equally for it. I think we should all have our equal share. And
Mhm.
Cody's just kind of like, well, then no, we need that recreational lot for the
Yeah.
kids because what
Yeah.
are the kids going to get? And it's like, well, then what's your lot for? What is your
That's the
lot
thing,
for?
and they even brought up the little diagram, and it was like, Janelle and Robin were still over here, but then there was the ones over here, and it went from Cody's being like Cody/family, and then Christine, and then it crossed off Christine, it put Cody in that one on the bottom, and then it circled family for the other one. So that means you'd be leaving 2 properties behind to your kids. So you're saying you need a separate house that you're not also going to allow your kids to have access to, in addition to this recreation property that all the kids can have access to. And then what happens with those? And Janelle is right to also peep up and say, this all does affect Robin because Robin is the one who's legally married. So she's going to get her property, the recreation property, and Cody's property if Cody dies, and she's going to get half of all that stuff if she leaves him. So it really does matter, and it's not fair whatsoever.
And if every wife or lady or whatever Mary wants to say, if every lady has a lot and those lots are supposed to go to their kids, is Cody's
Mhm.
lot then just for Christine's kids because she's the only one without
Right.
a lot? Because all those other kids are covered already in the other lots.
Right.
So why do they
Right.
need Cody's lot and their mom's lot? It just doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense. Just give the woman 2 extra acres. She paid for it.
Mhm.
Like, just let her have it. She has
Right.
1 kid, but not by choice. You keep throwing that in this woman's face like that's what she wanted. No, and she
Right.
suffered through this family for 30 years with you. Just for the fact of them stringing her along for 10 years, give her the damn lot.
Right.
You have
And she
made this woman
financially
suffer.
contributed to it equally.
More than Cody,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, what is this?
And I've
This
gotta
is
know, maybe I'm just being like a Debbie Downer, but maybe he should reconsider even keeping that family lot. If he's gonna have his own lot and a family lot, maybe he should just not have a recreation lot and just keep his house on that lake lot or whatever, pond, whatever it is. Because when is the last time that that family has all gotten together? And I'm sorry, but it's not due to lack of access of a neutral space. It's not going to be a neutral space over there on the land either.
right.
Christine doesn't have any land over there. Like, it's not going to be neutral to anybody. Maybe you don't really need that whole recreation lot, Cody's lot, whatever. Why can't it all just be on the same lot for Cody's lot and Meri can have
Right.
her 4 acres?
Well, and they act also like all these kids want these lots. These kids are getting older. They might have their own properties and stuff that they'll hand down to their own kids. I don't know if they'll even want Cody to pass or whatever. Maybe only a couple of them would. I don't know. It's just such a mess. And I just don't see why Cody needs his own lot in general. And if
Well, it's
he,
not like all the kids are gonna live on those lands like together. There's only 5 lots. Like, I got 18 kids. They're gonna have
yeah,
kids.
once Cody gets his own house on a lot, Robin probably isn't even going to see him anymore. He's probably
Yeah.
going to decide to just be an asexual.
Yeah, he could be like, I never actually loved any of those women. That's what we're
It's
gonna
all
see
been
in,
an
like,
act.
by like 2029, guaranteed. I never loved any of those women.
Yeah, if they ever develop that land and Cody gets his own house, he's never seeing any of them again. None of
Yeah.
them. And then
Mhm.
he's going to say exactly that. I never loved any of them. It's all been an act, a performance,
I
if
just
you will.
clung to Robin for safety. There it is.
I mean, she looks
Anyways,
so miserable these days. I don't know how they're so in love.
I think they're definitely having a hard time in their marriage. So, I mean, hopefully they'll get through it. I'm not wishing anything bad on anybody, certainly not. But it looks like it's getting worse, not better. The talk back brings us to the scene where they're having a barbecue with Christine's brother. They're playing frisbee. They're discussing
Your
Christine's
favorite
separation.
scene?
Why?
The last time we went over this episode or whatever, you were like, you had to show me this damn frisbee game in the middle of a divorce.
Do you remember this? I forgot because it's kind of chopped up now, so there's a lot going on in these episodes. But yeah, you're right. I was really annoyed by this because why are we talking? And I do feel still annoyed. Why are we talking about Christine again? We all know that she left. We all know why she left. We all know what happened. I understand her wanting to download with her brother, but she also talks about how she's telling her brothers the story of her separation, also for Janelle to hear it so that Janelle can get, I don't know, get an
Inspiration.
idea. Yeah, something. I don't know. But Janelle gets real kind of pissy about it. She gets a little bit upset and says she didn't need anybody's help really to figure that out.
Yeah, she doesn't like Christine's narrative at all. And she says that,
That's what
you
it
know,
was,
this
the
whole narrative
narrative.
that Christine keeps trying to spin, that Janelle needs like inspiration to leave or a push to leave or just to know that it's okay. Like she's like, I've left. I've
I
already
know.
left. I just am stuck because my assets are all scrambled with everybody else. But I've left. I've got 3
Right.
kids that live in Flagstaff. Why wouldn't I want to be in Flagstaff? Blah, blah, blah. And she's very valid. I mean, Janelle don't need no help with nothing. She's a very independent person. I can see why she's frustrated by that. I'm glad she can still be friends with Christine and like work through that because obviously that hasn't really affected their relationship. But you can tell Janelle gets a little bit annoyed with Christine's. It's so much better on the other side. She knows it's better. She's been there. She's been listening to you talk about it for at least 2-3 years now. So I'm sure this isn't a conversation she needs to keep rehashing to give her
Ever
inspiration.
since that damn Christmas tree in that tiny apartment, like, she's been left
Trigger
pretty
tree.
much. 2022 trigger tree. She's like, I left. I didn't move. Like, I didn't leave, but I've left. Then it also cuts to Janelle in that scene talking about, like, I have left, but I am also still spiritually married to Cody. And I don't know how to get a divorce in that type of situation. And Meri pauses it and she says, I can tell her. And again, this is why I think that Meri has moved on because all the sister wives, especially Meri and especially Robin, know that the only way to stop a spiritual divorce is to with somebody else. And
Well,
so,
Meri did say you just say it. She's like, I know how to tell her, just say it. Like she said it
yeah,
really low though. But yeah. But I really
but
do think she's moved on because of her attitude and everything.
yeah,
she's
they
done.
were pushing that whole thing on to Christine. Like, it's not
Mhm.
over until you've. Meh. That's weird, but okay. But this is when Mary's friend comes over, and I'm so excited for Jen to be there. What a breath of fresh air to be commenting and reacting. And I think this is probably obviously the first time that she's seen this. She's trying to play it off, but I'm sure that it was like planned for Jen to be there. But she's like, "Oh, are you busy?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm just watching myself on TV." Like, how awkward is that? She sits down and she goes, "Oh, I want to talk back. Can I talk back?" So I'm so excited for her to talk back just because I like Jen. I like that she's definitely one of those friends that will maybe not always tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear.
Also nice to see somebody almost like a regular viewer to talk back at the same time, like a monogamous, somebody who's not really into all that, to give a different perspective, because she definitely gives a couple different perspectives.
And I like to see Meri have a support because she's, breaking up with her husband. Yeah, it cuts to Meri, and this is when she asks, is now a good time to drop a bomb? And she has the leaving conversation, and Robin starts to cry, and the friend starts to already get irritable, like all of us and the rest of the world when we watch this. And she's like, why is she crying right now? And Meri kind of tries to explain to her, well, Robin really wanted to be a sister wife. She's disappointed and blah, blah, blah. And the friend is like, I don't know why you empathize with her, because every time you try to have a relationship with her, you would find yourself like, oh, we made plans and they didn't work out and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know. Meri tries to keep going back. Like, I think that this is just what she wanted. But her friend rightfully believes that Robin has just been being selfish AF.
And that's like what we've always assumed, right? Is that Robin seems to make plans with Meri and then maybe ditch her and stuff. And now we got that confirmation from Jen. Meri has been trying to have a relationship with Robin, and Robin don't really even reach out to her. Like, all of a sudden it's about making a plan, even when she first told Robin, like, I'm gonna be moving all my stuff to Parowan, but not myself. Robin's like, okay, so now we'll make plans and do this and that. Nothing ever happened. I'm sure the next time Meri saw Robin was in that dang kitchen conversation. I think we've seen every single time that Meri has seen Robin since, and it's like twice. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And Christine brings that up too. This is another time where she gets mad for Meri. She says that it's not fair to Meri. And she kind of says, like, thank God that Robin isn't going to try and fight it. But wait, because Robin's going to come back. So don't worry.
Don't worry. She's going to try to fight it, Christine. She wants one more day.
Yeah, she just has to calm down so that she can match the energy of Meri and Cody, because they're calm. Then Cody asks Meri in the original scene, like, well, do you even want to look at the lot? Like, are you even there? And Christine starts to really lose her shit a little bit. She's like, how can you ask about that when all of this is going on? Cody says to Meri, stop making it about what I said and let's make it about where we are. And Christine is like, they are where he said. It's the same thing.
It is.
I'm like, you're right. Like, it's crazy. And then the friend is like, now I understand why you've been stuck in this for like the last 10 years, because everything is just this weird circle pattern of like, don't focus on this, focus on that. And this is where we are and where I am and what we said.
And they're the same things. They're all the same
Yeah.
things, just like Christine said. He said, I don't see myself in a marriage with Meri. So that's where they are. Like, what do you mean? How isn't what you said where you are? And I can see where people can get confused, or where Meri could get confused. Now, I don't know if I'd stay confused for 10 years, but I can see where she was confused for so long. And I can see where he was almost baiting her. And that's what Janelle also says. She's like, listen to how he talks to any of us, really. He does this weird, like, back and forth thing. And you just don't even know what to think. You can see him do that with Janelle and her boys. When it comes to the COVID thing, like, oh, I need an apology. Oh, I don't need an apology. Oh, I need you to communicate this to the boys. Oh, I don't want you communicating for me at all with my children. She shouldn't be. She shouldn't be. Y'all got phones. Like I've said a million times, call these kids. Text these kids. Facebook message these kids. Email them. You got some form of way to contact them, even if you're blocked. Like, there is a way.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Honestly, Kim Possible that. I don't care.
Cody used to be Cody Possible. Now he's Cody Stoppable. And Cody, again, like, somehow brings up the catfishing for whatever reason. And he calls Meri a victim of catfishing and says that she doesn't hold herself accountable for the discussions that they've had, which I find so interesting, because later we'll see where they really start to break up and Meri talks to her friend Jen about how all of that went down and needing it to be documented. And it's just crazy that Cody's going to sit there and be like, oh, she doesn't hold herself accountable for the catfishing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, even if it was as bad as it could have been, the whole catfishing situation, you continued to say that you were going to stay in a marriage with her regardless, and then drug that out for like another 10 years. So it just doesn't matter anymore. Get over it.
When did Meri get catfish? Like 2014, 15, 16 at the latest. And we're in 2022 in this point in time in Sister Wives. He should have either let her go with the catfish scandal or not. I totally agree that Meri made it seem like the catfishing thing it was more of a way to victimize her. I'm not sure how it went down. I really have to rewatch that season, but to me, it almost feels like Meri might have been trying to see her options elsewhere. And then when it all blew up, she was like, oh, I got scammed, whatever, which she did get scammed. She did.
Mhm.
But I also do believe that Meri would never have done that unless she felt abandoned in her marriage. Every single one of these sister wives is saying Meri is loyal. Meri is dedicated to a fault. Meri's always up on her commitments. I don't think she would have done any of that if she didn't feel pressed against a wall. Like, I'm sure at that point, Cody hadn't been coming over for a couple years or whatever. And then he doesn't just emotionally abandon her. He doesn't have a need to work on these relationships because he can just go over to the next wife's house when things go bad. He doesn't have that need, that desire like the wives do, because they only have one Cody that they're spreading into fourths. Like Christine said, when Cody came over, she had to make sure that everything was perfect, that everything was the way he liked it or whatever. They seem to always need to get on his good side to keep him around, unless you were Robin, really, which Robin, it seems like, did the same thing. It seems like Robin talked him up, made him feel away, let him have his run of the house. Then it made it so Cody didn't want to leave. He had his own office. He had his own space. And then Robin's sitting here like, I don't know where he is. He's in his office.
Yeah, Robin catered to Cody all the time. That's what it seemed like from the time in Las Vegas. Everything there was like nice and dandy and perfect and whatever. I mean, that's what happens, and everybody knows it except for Robin.
Well, it's just like you're saying earlier, like kids in divorced homes and stuff, like when they act up, it's because sometimes they're going from a parent's house that lets them do whatever the heck they want, and then they have to go to this other house. That's kind of what Cody is. He's a kid from divorce. He's just going in between houses, and he just wants to be at the one that lets them do the best stuff.
Do the most stuff.
At Janelle's house, he's got to hang things, and he thinks that it's a dang test of his manhood or a test of himself. And when he's at Meri's, she's got opinions. When he's at Christine's, she's being dramatic. Goes to Robin's, and she just probably gives him a kiss on the cheek and lets him feel like a man and leaves him alone.
Lately, I've seen Robin kind of argue with him, if you want to call some of the arguments.
She backs down real quick, though. She does. Eventually, she just gets quiet and looks away.
She has an opinion for a second, and then Cody snaps back, and she's like, Perma's
frown. And she just like looks off into her other world, like you say, like her other Robin dimension. She just looks away.
She does. She just goes into the delusion.
I think you have to, though, to live with him like that 24/7.
They're both delusional. So back in the original scene, Cody decides that the issue with Meri is that Meri blames him. And Meri's like, I don't mean to blame you. And Cody's like, well, then just don't. Like, that's just how it's just going to be that easy or something. And so Meri pauses and she's like, I never blamed him. Christine comes up too, and she was like, this is him baiting her. You're trying to bait her into saying that the marriage is over, because Meri will never say that the marriage is over, obviously. Robin is talking over Meri in the original scene, trying to help her. And Meri asks her to stop. That she's like, I'm gonna just talk. And the friend is like, I'm so glad that you stopped her from Robin splaining, Cody splaining. What is the splaining? She's so funny.
She's so right. I was happy for her too, because we saw in the previous couple episodes before that Meri felt she needed Robin there to explain things to Cody because she couldn't. And it's like, girl, you don't need her for that. You were doing it for 30 years. I'm sure y'all have issues communicating, but Robin's not going to make it any better. I'll tell you that. She's just gaslighting everybody when she's talking to them. She talks to Cody like, you don't believe this. She looks at Meri. Are you going to accept that? You don't need her there. So then Cody in his little confessional talks about how he had been managing a relationship with Meri very carefully. And then her friend and Meri were both like, you mean ignoring me? Like ignoring Meri.
Very carefully. Staying away from Meri.
Yeah. For 7 years. Like, dude, I don't think you're managing any of them very carefully. Not even with your kids.
Well, they get to the point where Cody says that Meri wants something that they can't have. And this is when Robin gets up and leaves in the scene. And Christine is annoyed. Like, you can just see it on her face. She's so annoyed. a friend starts laughing and she's like, I don't mean to laugh at someone. Her feelings are valid, but she's like, I'm just struggling with this because I'm sure the friend knows how it all affects Meri and that they really don't give a about Meri, or they don't act like they do at least. So she probably has even more of a reason to laugh than all of us. And we were all laughing because we know how ridiculous it is for her to just be so distraught about all of this. And Robin is tearing up on the couch. She's not having a meltdown, which is, I think, an improvement, but she is obviously tearing up. And I can appreciate that. I think that's an appropriate expression of emotions when your family is falling apart.
Yeah, this is where I started to feel a little bit bad for Robin because she looked completely mortified watching herself. I mean, who wants to watch themselves have a meltdown? So I do feel for her in that regard. And even Cody had to like kind of comfort
Give
her
her
a
a
little
pat.
bit because she just looks mortified. And I don't know if it's because of her feeling sad or also her watching herself on TV crying like a sobbing Robin mess. I don't really think Robin watches Sister Wives. I think Cody watches it, obviously, compared to what he said in the last talkback. And I think maybe Christine or like Meri watch it. I don't even think Janelle really watches it, but I definitely do not think that Robin sits there and wants to watch it, especially these later seasons. I don't think she can. I mean, she can't even look at the clips half the time. She'll be like, I can't look. I can't look. So I think it's like real torture for her to sit here and watch herself cry. And I do feel bad for her in that regard. I mean, who wants to look like this on national TV?
Oh, it's rough. So we do get a little bit of like some comic relief with some viewer questions and comments. Someone called Cody commentary. I thought that was hilarious. Janelle talks about thinking that Cody will never get any more sister wives, that he's in a soulmate situation with Robin. And Christine does not want to be the president, but she would like to be the queen.
Although the queen reigns a lot longer than a president, but whatever.
Christine is probably going to reign a lot longer over this plural marriage than Cody.
She's the only one still in a plural marriage. Her and Janelle are sister wives for life.
And all the kids, even as adults, seem to still kind of gravitate to Christine because raised them. So I think she is the queen of the Browns. I'll give her that.
She is. And she's the most competitive, so she's the queen.
Yeah, we glossed over that part, but she was like so shook that they actually left that in there. I think that's another part too. Like when you talk about Robin crying, I think, they film so much and they probably don't know what they actually keep and what they throw away and what gets left on the editing room floor. Robin to see herself sobbing so much and maybe not realizing that that's what's on TV. And also Christine was like, yeah, I'm competitive. That's why I was the first one to leave. She was like, embarrassed when she heard that too. She's like, I can't believe they left that in there.
You gotta imagine if it's a little bit controversial or if it's gonna cause dramatics, they're gonna leave it in there, you guys.
But then we get back to the sad stuff or the dreary stuff. And Cody talks about in the original scene, he says it's not okay to stay in a duty-bound marriage. And Meri looks to her friend and she explains to Jen that they had already decided at that point to separate, but that Meri felt that it was important to have it documented and that Cody was fighting her on that. So that's why Meri was so open to leading the conversation in that direction on camera, because she did want Cody to have some accountability for what was going on. And I was so happy to hear that she pushed for that to happen, because we'll see, and I will talk more about this in look back, but Cody and Meri broke up twice in 2022. And it's just crazy to me that they would not document it in a real way. They broke up on their anniversary and then they broke up for real, the whole plural marriage and everything at this conversation. So I just don't know why Cody would not allow it to be public in that way, because he started the ball rolling with Meri on their anniversary saying, I'm not going to be open anymore to even you pursuing me. Christine also says that Cody ended it years ago, that Cody was just dragging Meri along and that Meri would have loved to stay married, but that he ended it. And she also disagrees that it was the catfishing. And she says Cody kept telling her, let's just get to know each other. And then he wouldn't talk to her for like an entire year. And we saw that from season 16. I get that COVID happened and all of that, but
There's Zoom. There was Zoom. Me and my husband basically got together during COVID and we lived in different states. He could have made something work with Meri. He just didn't want to. He never
And then
cared.
once you guys moved in together, he got deployed for months and months.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, we were long distance for most of our relationship dash marriage and ended up being fine. He could have made more effort, Cody. He didn't even try to get to know her or anything like that. You know, she seemed pretty shook on that one date when he was like, you haven't been courting me. She's like, well, you haven't even probably talked to me the last 6 months. How am I supposed to know that? This is when Robin returns in the clip and Christine's just like, wait, she's back? She's back? Why is she back?
She's so mad. Jenna's mad too. She's like, why is she here? Robin says, I'm just coming back because I don't want them to make a decision just yet. And Jenna's like, why? Why? They're making this decision. It's basically already been made. This one is just for show. This is a performance. Cody loves to perform. It's already done. Just let it go. Janelle also says the same thing. She's like, it's not fair for Robin to interfere. And she says that Robin giving support all these years may have actually created the situation into being longer than it really had to be. And I agree with that so much. I think it's one thing to give support to your sister wife, like, I'm sorry you're going through this, or sometimes things are hard, maybe wait to make a decision, but telling them that they can't make a decision when they're ready to make a decision, that's ridiculous.
And then they show Robin saying how painful it is for her. And Christine's like, what about being painful for Meri? It's so hard for Robin. And we get that. We know it's hard for Robin, but Mary's the one going through the divorce here. I mean, I know she's had 10 years to digest this, but it's not about Robin. Robin's making it about herself right now because she's the one having a whole fit. When she should have seen this coming 10 years ago. I mean, I'm sure Cody's had many a conversation with her with their sacred covenant being the forefront of everything. Christine's asking, what about Meri? And Mary's kind of laughing throughout all of this. It's kind of funny because Mary's just kind of seeing a lot of this as a big joke. She's already lived through it. She's probably watched it 3 times by now. So at this point, Mary's just laughing and having a good time watching this with Jen. I think it is nice that Jen's there to kind of like lighten this up for Meri. Jen and Meri laugh about Meri saying that they just had a breakup conversation. And Jen's just like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like at one point, y'all looked like you were making bracelets out of weeds. She's just like, I don't know what's happening, but this is like really crazy. And Robin turns to Meri in the clip and is like, are you accepting that? And Mary's just like, what do you want me to do with it, Robin? What else do you want me to do?
She's laughing there too. She's like starting to burst out into laughter. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. And that's when the act is easy comment comes up. And everybody's jaw is on the floor. Like Christine, her friend Jen, Meri is still a little bit shook by that whole comment.
Jen even breaks the fourth wall to look at the camera and be like, the act is easy.
I know. And Mary's like, oh, hold on, there's more. I think she just wanted her to hear her comeback, which is the act is obvious. And they laughed. And I'm sure that was a good moment for Meri to have.
And that's when Janelle kind of pops in and says that she was there and he was definitely involved in the relationships and it wasn't just his duty. He used to go in, change diapers. He was an active dad. He seemed to really want to make it work, but she just thinks now that he has this relationship with Robin, he wants to go back and say it was all play pretend. Honestly, I would be almost more infuriated by that than somebody just being like, you know, I just fell out of love with you guys and I tried to make it work and I kind of fell out of love and this is where I'm at. Now he's going back and saying, this was all an act. And I would be really upset if I was with somebody for 20, 30 years and them telling me that it was all an act. Like, no, you could have let me go 20, 30 years ago and I could have found my real path in life. Don't tell me this was all an act. But that's just so much worse to me. Him now saying all the things he's saying now is so much worse to me than him being like, well, I don't feel like I'm married to Meri or whatever. Yes, your feelings have changed. That's all you need to say.
And the friend kind of backs that up too. She says that Meri has love letters from Cody and that he used to be a different person, and Meri agrees. Janelle also says Cody's not the only one that had to honor his commitments in the relationship, that marriages, sometimes they get hard and they're difficult and you have to just honor your commitments and stick it out until hopefully it gets better. But he acts like he's some kind of hero. Janelle gets so irritated by Cody. So do I. Robin and Cody get into a back and forth a little bit at this point. Robin asks, was it okay for me to say that it wasn't an act? And at least my response to that is like, no, it wasn't okay. You're not supposed to speak for other people, especially probably in a plural marriage type of situation. But anyways, they get into this back and forth a little bit. And eventually Cody kind of talks about being guilty, and Robin is like, "Oh, what are you guilty of?" And he's like, "Thinking that I was in love because I was in a bad emotional state and I thought that that was love." And it's like,
Mhm.
how do you think that being in a bad emotional state is love? I understand that sometimes those things can get like mixed up. You can be in a bad emotional state and then feel love, and so you kind of think that all those things are the same, but to just flat out say you weren't in love and you were in this terrible situation, first of all, not true. You have 15 seasons worth of an actual TV show documenting your life that shows that it wasn't true.
Once he said, "I thought it was love," she's like, "See? See?
Mhm.
You thought it was love." And he's like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, Robin, I was just trying to go through my commitments because I thought it was love." So you loved them. See?
Mhm.
See? And it's like, we get it, Robin. We
I know.
all know that Cody at one point loved these people and that he's trying to gaslight you mainly and the
Mhm.
rest of the world. We know. There's no C. You don't gotta keep doing that. We understand. Cut to a clip of Robin actually talking about how she fell in love with Cody because how he loved his wives. And that's when John's just like, I'm sorry. Like, as a monogamist, I just have to say that is so weird to hear that you would fall in love with somebody because of how they love their wives. And Mary's like,
Right.
okay, I get it. That makes sense. It is weird for the normal person.
It is. That's definitely not something that I would be thinking. I guess unless I was a polygamist, but I'm not.
Imagine just seeing this guy at McDonald's with his family, and I'd be like, wow, the way he loves his family, I would just love to get me a slice of that. I would love to be get half of that and become the other wife and just get like a half. It would be good.
No,
My
no. I could
family.
admire that. I'd be like, "Oh, that guy looks like a good dad or looks like a good husband," but not like I need him. Maybe someone that does things like him.
Right. But then again, like you said, we're not really polygamists and we're not trying to be in a plural marriage. So that is a weird thought for us. But I guess maybe to people who are seeking that out, that's something that turns them on. I don't know, but
I think that would be a good thing to look for, definitely. If you're a
right.
polygamist, you would wanna look at the current relationships.
Well, look where that got
But
her.
obviously, Robin was missing a couple of things.
So then Cody says that he could be with Meri and fake a relationship for her and for the sake of like whatever. And then in real life, as he's watching the clip, he's saying our religion, our faith. And then I finished for him our Robin, because that's definitely more or less where I feel like his heart was at.
For
So
sure.
you're welcome.
Mary's talking about Cody's not in a good place. Christine says that all of this stuff is why she left and that everyone else is leaving because Cody talks about them as being a duty and I could just stick around and stick this out. Just man up and say you don't want to. And then Meri said, I know you don't consider us married. And Robin said, that's not true. Cody rolled his eyes watching it, and then he turns over 2 seconds later and he apologizes to Robin about it. And I cackled. Cody, we're all rolling our eyes. It's okay. You had a human response to the complete and utter denial that your wife is in. And I
Yeah.
think all monogamous, plural marriage, whatever, I think all spouses would roll their eyes to their spouse being completely in denial of reality.
Her and Cody keep doing this weird back and forth thing where whenever they go against the other one, they're like, is it okay that I did that? And it's like,
I
you can
know.
have your own opinions. Yes, have your own
So
opinions.
weird.
It's
Maybe
fine.
they don't know how to just be in their own relationship. They have to make sure everything is okay because Cody is used to being able to leave and Robin is used to I don't Robin's not used to being able to
Yeah.
have her own space, but Cody sometimes pretends to go other places. But anyway, so then we get into the sacred covenant.
Yes. My favorite part, I think.
So Jen's comment is, I mean, really the whole thing that matters here. And I've brought this up and we've talked about this too when the scene originally aired. But she talks about like that's a really weird thing to promise for someone to just say that unless you're already complaining about the current relationship. And Meri looks shook when she
Yeah.
hears this logic behind it. And she's like, I never thought of it like that. I was frustrated that they just moved on from that pretty quickly.
I want to hear
Just
Mary's actual thoughts about that because honestly, that's got to be the knife to her kidneys.
Just the knife in the kidneys.
She's just figuring this out for the first time, which to us as viewers, it kind of seems a little bit obvious. Obviously, why would you make that kind of promise to somebody if there wasn't a reason for it? Especially because he's been in these other relationships for what, 15, 16 years at this point? I mean, he's probably was complaining about them before the wedding, after his wedding to Robin, throughout their marriage. She has, I'm sure, heard a lot of complaints from Cody and then just like either kept them to herself because she didn't want to meddle or whatever the case is. But I'm sure she's heard many a complaint from Cody. I'm sure she's known all the marriages were over before anyone. If he's saying it to us in a confessional openly, Robin definitely heard it years before.
Definitely. Meri just talks about getting frustrated, I guess, that Cody's putting the covenant that he made with Robin onto Meri. And it's like, wife, not wife, whichever wife it came from. I think that that's an appropriate covenant to have in any marriage. Again, not in a superficial way, like every time it's bad, leave. But like Robin made a good point too. It doesn't mean leave if you're in a pathetic place. It just means do something about it. It means don't just sit there and be complacent about it.
The same point too. It is a good covenant to have with everybody, and he should have kept that same energy with everybody, but he also should have had that same energy way earlier than 10 years later into their issues. He's going to put Meri into this covenant thing too and hold that as his reason to Robin. Like he should have did this with Meri years ago. Don't act like now you care about having a covenant with Meri. Stop.
And so Christine almost has a full-blown meltdown when everyone says it's not what I wanted, and like that's including Cody. And as soon as Cody's like, it's not what I wanted either, Christine does what we all did. We're like, oh, shut up. Just stop it. Stop it right now. Yeah.
Once Meri had to grab Robin's hand, Christine was not having it anymore. That hand hold and the comfort. And it's like, this is Meri's breakup, not Robin's. Like, why is this way?
In the original scene, Cody talks about it appearing to be the end of their plural marriage once and for all, and they all get up and hug each other. Cody and Meri have a long hug, which is fine. That's allowed. They just went through a tough conversation, and they did a good job going through that conversation. They have quite a long hug, and Jen is like, oh, I bet this is the most action you've gotten in years from Cody. I cackled.
I feel like it was a full 360 moment for us because the first talk back, they talked about Cody's hug from the coat, and then Meri got her real hug. So that's like the positive.
Then Cody's comment, I hope she finds peace, because I will. Christine makes a face. Janelle calls him an ass. I'm so happy actually that we can see these talkbacks. At first I thought that they were like kind of a little bit redundant because we just saw all of this, but it is kind of funny to see all the sister wives' reactions to these moments because that's how we all feel. So it's kind of validating.
I think it's kind of shady of the producers, though, to then throw in the clip of Robin saying she will be on her knees searching for peace herself. Cody, you might be at peace, but your soulmate is struggling. So I don't know how much you're going to have peace when your soulmate's looking for hers.
And the blank faces of Janelle and Christine watching Robin have this breakdown about wanting to sit on the porch with her sister wives. They were almost emotionless. Christine says she doesn't understand where Robin is caught up in all of this, that when you monopolize a man and when a man has a favorite, that it's not a plural family, that's just a recipe for disaster. And Janelle agrees where the blame should be placed. She says that the responsibility is on Cody and not Robin, because Cody should be the one to honor his commitments and his covenants and not to have a favorite wife. And I agree with that part more. But I don't disagree with Christine. I think Christine is right. I just think Cody gets more of the blame.
I feel like we've said this before. I kind of feel like the blame is more or less 80-90% Cody and maybe like 10-20% Robin. Robin definitely could have like told him to leave her house and stuff, but Cody definitely had to be the one to work on his relationships and to make the efforts, especially with his kids. Robin is also watching herself cry again, and she is struggling again to watch herself cry, which again, I feel bad for her to have to sit there and watch herself break down on TV. It's not fun. She calls it torture, and I would agree with that. If I had to see myself crying on TV, I would call it torture as well.
Yeah, and it just ends on her crying and being sad about everything. And then it cuts to Meri. She's like, so that's how it ends. That's how it's done. And at this point, Jen also feels bad for Robin and talks about, from the perspective of a friend of one of the sister wives, how she knew that everyone was so excited when they moved to Flagstaff, that they thought that they were going to have this new beginning. Now like the OG3 and even Robin don't have that. They don't have any of that. And Cody's the only one that's found peace with
Right.
that.
And that's where they leave us on this talk back.
We will catch all of you Sister Wives watchers and chick chatters on the next episode. We're going to be covering the second look back. I think it's called How It's Going. The first one was How It Started. So this should be a doozy, but we'll catch you all there.
All right. See you next time, Chick Chatter.
Bye.